supply components. We don't supply everything. That Volvo package. We sell the whatever their person that is. So we have the attic for all of them.
Well, again, I got sidetracked.
And here we are, live again from the floor of the 2011 Detroit Auto Show. Joining me right now, Bob Carter, the Group Vice President and General Manager of Toyota Motor Sales USA. Great having you here.
Good afternoon, John. Great to see you again.
And you guys have a big show here. You're saying what? You rolled out 4 new vehicles?
We did. We rolled out the entire family of our new Prius brand. We first showed our Prius that everybody knows. We're in the 3rd generation. We introduced that vehicle 2 years ago here in Detroit at this show. Then today we introduced 3 additional Priuses that are all going to be a family. The first one's the plug-in, which will be available in early 2002. Then
2012.
2012. Then we showed the Prius V and the Prius C.
So tell us, what are the V and the C?
The V, first, many of the customers that buy Priuses, and more importantly, customers that looked at Prius and didn't buy it, says there's just not enough space in it. There's the size of a Prius today, it's a mid-size sedan, but people are looking for a little bit more. So what the Prius V is really been designed for families. It has the same powertrain as the Prius, same high gas mileage, low impact on the emissions, but we put a much larger interior. It's 60% more interior space.
More like a wagon or a crossover?
It's like a wagon. It's actually interior-wise, it's a little larger than a Honda CR-V or a Ford Escape. Very similar to our RAV4, to give you comparison. Huge back seat, sliding and reclining back seat with a lot of luggage space. So we really designed that interior for young families, and then people that have active lifestyles that just like to put everything from bicycles to kayaks and canoes inside the car. Then we heard from other customers just the opposite. I'd like a car that's a little bit more compact, a little smaller than the Prius. So we introduced the Prius C concept, car we intend to bring to market in about a year. Smaller, more affordable, much higher gas mileage. So think of it sort of small, medium, and large in the Prius family now.
So talk about the C a little bit. What kind of a price, what kind of fuel economy?
Well, we still have it in design, and we're showing the concept here at the show. The current Prius, the patriarch of the family, the one that everybody knows, starts at $23,000. So the best I can offer you today, John, is it'll be under that. But we haven't developed final pricing yet. A little smaller, the gas mileage, the current Prius is rated at 50 miles per gallon combined EPA. Stay tuned, this one will be higher.
Now, going back a year or so ago, there was talk of maybe turning the Prius into a brand unto itself. Is this the start of that process?
Well, yes, we refer to it as the Prius family. So it's there's a number of different Priuses depending on what the consumer's needs are. Families, singles, couples, high tech. We have a Prius to fit almost everybody's needs. But it is a family of vehicles, and it's a Prius brand. It's not a separate franchise or not a separate business model. It's a cornerstone of the Toyota franchise.
Mm-hmm. So how big might you grow this Prius line?
Well, that really depends where the customers take us. We in the month of December we were really pleased. I was surprised at over 16,000 Priuses in the month of December.
That's a big number.
That was the most Priuses we ever sold in a winter month, And we have sold 16,000 Priuses before, but you expect to do that in the summer, not in the middle of the winter. So as fuel prices have started to creep back up again, I think nationally we're seeing them back over $3. On the West Coast, they're $3.50 and still heading north. People are putting fuel economy back on their shopping list more than ever. And so this is a great time to be announcing a whole family of Prius.
Now, the Prius really is the only knock it out of the park success in the hybrid market. As you extend the line, can you keep that going?
Well, that is our plan. Again, the design of the Prius family is that as successful as Prius is, we know that there's some people that just says, I just need a little more. And that's what we're doing. So we have had the opportunity that the consumers that have asked us for a little more, we brought them in confidentially through focus groups and showed them this vehicle. They're giving us great feedback. It's interesting, one of the things that they really enjoy beyond the space and obviously the MPG is we're introducing our new electronics, our multimedia package in this car. It will eventually migrate throughout the entire Toyota franchise, but we call it N2. And it offers a lot of new features that customers are looking for in a simple, intuitive way.
The Nissan Leaf has got me wondering, is it going to cannibalize sales from the Prius? Because a lot of people who want to do their part for the environment might naturally gravitate towards an electric car if it meets their needs. Are you worried about that stealing sales from the Prius?
No, I think actually Leaf and all the EVs, and we're very active in the EV development. We will have our second generation of a RAV EV coming on the market in 2012. There's a role for electric vehicles in the market, but it's arguable how large that would be because under current state of technology of batteries, consumers may have to accept some compromises. Many electric vehicles have a range of around 100 miles, and then we get into cold weather climates like we're having here today in Detroit. That does nothing but shrink that down.
Dramatically so, in fact.
So, and it's my personal belief that there is a viable role for electrics. But when you're talking vehicles that are nearly or approaching $40,000 and they have limited range, there's a role, but as an additional car to the family. And so when we start thinking about $40,000, not necessarily a luxury nameplate, and as a third car addition to the fleet, the size of that market might be pretty small. And that's why we're so convinced that plug-in and hybrids in general is really a much better solution for the future.
Mm-hmm. You ended up December on a high note, as you're talking about. 2010 was kind of a rough year for Toyota. Of course, you shut down a lot of production earlier in the year too, so I'm sure that alone would have held you back.
It was a challenging year. It was a year that we learned a lot. And we will be a better, even stronger company from some of the challenges that we went through. But that puts us in a situation looking at 2011, and all of us in the car business are feeling more optimistic. The market, consumers are starting to shop again, and consumer confidence is coming back. So sitting here with the Prius family and additional vehicles that we're going to announce throughout the auto show season later in the year, we feel that we have a lot of optimism. We feel good, but we did learn a few things last year, and we will be better for it.
What did you learn?
Well, we learned overall that we weren't communicating internally and communicating externally as well as we should. We've certainly done a lot of work with the Department of Transportation to improve our communications with them and seek their input. And it's been very valuable. I know myself, I'm responsible for sales of the Toyota division North America. I've engaged my counterparts throughout Europe and Asia in a much more frequent way, so we're sharing information, making sure that we're developing vehicles that consumers want, But then when consumers have them, we get any feedback. I'm now getting feedback from Europe and Asia that, quite frankly, prior to this, that communication link wasn't as strong as perhaps we have. We've put a lot of processes in place. We call them our smart teams, and more technical support for our dealers. We've invested over 1,000 engineers specifically looking on quality and developing parts and vehicles in the future to make sure that some of the things we went through in 2010 doesn't reoccur in the future.
From a marketing and advertising standpoint, how do you help get people's confidence back in the Toyota brand?
Well, we're already seeing that. About July, we started to see that confidence moving back. I see that in the trade-ins that our dealers see. About month of December, about 57% of all of our trade-ins were coming from competitive makes. That's about where we were in 2009. But beyond that, it's product. And we know that we're communicating the advantages of our brand and what we think is the product attributes, but there's nothing that excites this market, this industry, and consumers as much as new products. So that's really where we're focusing.
And somebody told me, because I haven't even had a chance to walk the stand yet, even though here I am in the middle of it, you've got a redesign of the Corolla here as well?
Well, we're in the mid-cycle of the Corolla, so we did do some freshening. We put, it's an all-new trunk and rear end treatment and a new freshened up grille. And we got some feedback from consumers of a couple changes in the interior. So yeah, it's all freshened, it's new, but it's the mid-cycle change that we normally do about 3 years after the car's introduced.
Anything else on the floor that I should go take a look at too?
Well, they're just moving out the all-new Prius family. So we will have the Prius V, the Prius C, and the plug-in on display here shortly. And then all the new products that we introduced through 2010, specifically the Sienna. Sienna for the minivan market, perhaps got beat up a little bit of stigma. We're seeing it roar back to levels we haven't seen in years.
But isn't so much of the minivan sales picture tied into household formation? And as long as you have, Gen X or Gen Y and the millennials getting married, that will drive minivan sales? Do you see it that way or no?
Well, it would, but the consumer that was young, that had young families, a lot of those migrated in the 90s and early 2000s over to SUVs.
Right.
We're starting to see those types of families coming back into the minivan. We're also seeing empty nesters that just want a vehicle. They like the utility, whether they go in for weekend traveling or they're in it to antiquing. So it's interesting, we have two completely different groups of customers that are really coming back in a big way to minivan. And with the new Sienna and some other products that are on the market, we're starting to see activity there that we haven't seen for a while.
So looking ahead through the rest of this year, 2011, what's on your agenda here?
Well, we think the market will continue to improve like we saw in the last half of 2010. The market added about 1 million vehicles from 2009 to 10 and ended up at about 11.6 million. We see the market adding about another 1 million vehicles this year, and we're a little bit on the conservative side, but I think there's a lot of consensus somewhere between 12.5 and 13 million for 2011. So all of us are looking up. 2 years ago when we were here, John, there was a lot of uncertainty. It's a pleasure to walk through the show, and I think that uncertainty's gone. We're all looking up. So our plans is to introduce the new product and support our existing products, take advantage of a growing market. And with 1 million vehicles, that should be in the vicinity of about 9% growth for the industry, and we're confident we can grow a little better than that.
That's good to hear. It's good to hear everybody projecting sales increases for the year, as opposed to what we've seen for the last couple of years before this.
Yeah, it's refreshing. So improving, the economy still needs a little work. Unemployment and some of the fluctuations in oil still has some consumers scratching their heads, but we're feeling better every day, and I think we're going to move into a very healthy spring market, and then by the time summer and fall hits us, none of us are looking back.
That's good to hear. Hey, I saw Akio Toyoda, the chairman of Toyota, is here at the show as well.
He was able in the very last moment, he just arrived about lunchtime, and when we introduced the Prius family, even though he just got here within an hour of our press conference, he asked to join. So we had a little fun and introduced the Prius V together. But he's here, he had an opportunity to walk the show, and he's getting around trying to see some old friends as quickly as we can before he's back off to another part of the world.
That's great. Anything else, Bob, that we should be touching on that you'd like to get into?
John, it's good to see you. I would appreciate you go around and take a look at these new Priuses, and
I'm definitely going to check them out. I very much are.
Your feelings.
I'm intrigued by the extending the product line, or the brand extension of the Prius brand. I find that fascinating.
This is a lot of news for us here at the Detroit show, and I would really love to look forward to seeing you in New York, because we have a lot more news.
Even more.
News on the way.
That's great. Well, Bob Carter, thanks so much for stopping by and bringing us up to speed with what Toyota's doing at the Detroit Auto Show.
I appreciate it, John. Thank you very much.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks. Well, this brings us to the end of this live webcast from the Detroit Auto Show. We're going to be back here tomorrow. We've got a number of other interviews to do, but we're going to get our live view pack and take you on a walk of the floor here. We're going to be doing interviews at different stages of the floor. Who knows who we're going to run into? We do have some specific folks that we're going to interview, but you never know who you're going to run into here on the floor. So join us again if you get the chance. Tomorrow, noon, we'll be back here again live. But thanks so much for tuning in.
Autoline Live from the North American International Auto Show is brought to you by our premier sponsor, IAC, a leading global supplier of vehicle interior components and systems. And also by Bridgestone, passion for excellence. Dow Automotive Systems, improving durability and increasing design flexibility with Betamate structural adhesives at dowbetamate.com. And by Hyundai, think about it. And now,